Level 1. Brass in an old lock. The brass key to my parents' house turns effortlessly in the old door lock after my long absence. A 24-year-old young man stands on the porch holding a heavy box of kitchen supplies. My sweet mother is already preparing a delicious hot dinner, while my quiet father silently carries my things to the room. A marketing degree and a massive $30,000 student loan debt didn't help me at all. A promising young startup paid $40,000 a year, but went bankrupt after 11 long months. Rent for my apartment cost $1,600, while my unemployment benefits were slightly less than that. I had to break my lease, pay a penalty, and move back into my childhood home. My old childhood room still kept all the glowing stars on the ceiling and the twin bed that was far too small. Around the warm family table, Mom lovingly talks about the joy of having me back under their roof. Late at night, I calculate on a paper envelope the massive savings on housing and daily free meals. Without any utility expenses, I can easily put away $1,500 every month into my account. Over the next 3 years, I'll easily accumulate around $54,000 for a great financial head start. I double underline this large final amount and hide the important envelope deep in a desk drawer. My parents' strict rules turn out to be very rigid regarding the household thermostat and mandatory Sunday family dinners. The main thermostat in our house is always set to exactly 67 degrees Fahrenheit. For the entire first month, I faithfully act like a polite guest in this cozy, stable family nest. My initial plan seems completely solid, and free housing truly feels capable of radically changing someone's life. However, the old paper envelope in the desk drawer doesn't yet know the whole truth about what lies ahead. This $0 rent could either build a fortune or quietly hide a complete, deep financial ruin. Instead of the promised short 3 months, that old note lay motionless in the drawer for 4 whole years. Level 2. The illusion of an easy start. I tell my friends I'm freelancing, but in reality, I work as a regular delivery driver for a fast food service. I deliver Asian food around the city in a rented sedan with a monthly payment of nearly $400. The app shows good gross earnings, but after deducting gas and taxes, I'm left with $11 an hour. The misconception that I have no daily expenses causes more damage than any unnecessary purchases. Freshly washed laundry appears on my bed, and dinner waits in the kitchen every evening at 6 sharp. There is no lonelier feeling than eating a warm meal you didn't actually earn yourself. In the first month, I sent out 44 resumes, but by the 4th month, I only sent 6 short emails. Stressful interviews and constant rejections hurt deeply, but the soft couch in the living room offers absolute comfort. I buy an expensive gaming PC on credit with a high interest rate, convincing myself that I deserve it. The guy next door, Eric, lives on our street and uses free housing as a launch pad. Eric works at the municipal water treatment plant, earns $26 an hour, and saves his money. He drives a reliable old Toyota and saves almost $2,000 every single month. His clear goal is to stack $60,000 for a down payment on his own duplex. During a casual hangout in the garage, my debit card gets declined for a freshly ordered pizza. Eric silently pays the bill with his own money and never brings up that embarrassing moment again. My 25th and 26th birthdays pass in that exact same kitchen. Gradually, I completely stop counting the months, and my active job search turns into passive waiting. For a long time now, there has been only $412 sitting in my savings account. Living for free offered a golden opportunity, but all potential savings quietly dissolved into petty daily spending. I was simply squandering precious time and money, completely oblivious to where it was all disappearing. Level 3. Silent years underground. The delivery app deactivates my account on a Tuesday, and I lied to my parents about getting laid off. I turn 26, then 27, and the days blur into the same gray, meaningless cycle. I fall asleep at 4 in the morning and wake up at 1 in the afternoon in complete silence. In the spring, I move down into the basement, so I no longer have to hear my dad's morning alarm. My dad's loud alarm goes off at 5:40 a.m., sounding to me like a heavy prison sentence. The basement has no windows, but a comforting silence reigns there, hiding me from the outside world. I invest $3,000 in stocks based on tips from a random streamer, hoping for quick riches. For the first 11 days, the account grows to $4,900, filling me with immense pride. Soon after, though, the account crashes down to $86, leaving behind nothing but a sad screenshot. Student loans come knocking, and deferring the debt only inflates the accrued interest. Unopened bills pile up in the drawer where the total debt reaches $38,000. I make up fake stories for acquaintances at neighborhood BBQs about my secret projects and consulting work. My dad stops asking about work, and that silence becomes the loudest sound at our family dinner table. My mother defends me to relatives, burning through her own trust while I waste my valuable time. Meanwhile, Eric hits his goal, saves $61,000, and buys his dream duplex. At Eric's housewarming party, my dad enthusiastically chats with him about the new equipment in his place. We started under the exact same conditions, but Eric built equity while I was left with $400. His room was a launchpad for future success, while mine turned into a dead-end hangar. Relentless time slipped away without any meaningful action, leaving me far behind in real adulthood. I had to face the total failure of my long stagnation inside my parents' cozy and safe house. Level 4. The bill for adulthood. In November, my father accepts early retirement with a lump sum payout of $40,000. His knees crack heavily on the stairs, as he has already turned 61. My parents put the house up for sale to buy a small one-bedroom condo near my aunt. Selling the house was their only retirement plan, since their other savings were far too small to live on. I turned 28, and I have 90 days and a total of $412 to my name. I frantically send out dozens of new resumes, but every interview falls apart over the massive employment gap. The 4-year void on my resume becomes the main roadblock to landing any new job. Renting the cheapest room in town requires $1,650 upfront. I sell my gaming PC in a parking lot for $260, losing most of its original value. I buy a beat-up Honda sedan for $1,700, which eats up the last of my saved cash. On moving day, my mom tearfully hands me $300 for my first grocery run. It becomes the hardest transaction of my life, but I'm forced to accept the money. I couch surf at friends' places until I end up sleeping in my old car by late September. All my meager belongings fit into a small rented storage unit for $79 a month. Without a permanent address, I learned the true price of poverty and the total absence of comfort. Freezing winter weather makes sleeping in the car far too expensive due to heavy fuel consumption. Mr. Lee's 24-hour laundromat becomes my only warm shelter on the coldest winter nights of the year. The old laundromat owner, Mr. Lee, understands everything. He bumps up the thermostat and quietly lets me stay warm. When my car gets towed for parking violations, I don't have the $465 to get it back. I spend the night sleeping on a plastic chair in the laundromat, hitting the rock bottom of my financial crash. Level 5. The heavy edge and the table rule. Eric finds me in the laundromat at 7 in the morning when he comes in to wash his work clothes. He doesn't lecture me. He simply tells me to get into his pickup and buys me breakfast. Eric gives me a contact for his relative at a moving company and pays off my impound fee. He insists that I pay him back $40 a week, giving me a reason to answer his phone calls. By Monday at 6 a.m., I'm already standing in the parking lot, ready for my first shift. The veteran movers always assign the heavy end of every couch to the new guy when going up the stairs. After 9 hours of hard labor, I earn $128 plus decent tips. I rent a modest room for $560 a month in a house shared with 5 roommates. I buy a simple $3 notebook, which becomes my main daily financial tracking tool. I establish strict rules: save money, eat only home-cooked food, and pay off my debts. I open a separate account named Past Debt and transfer $500 into it every month. I negotiate a minimum monthly payment of $118 for my student loans. 6 months later, the company owner, Frank, promotes me to crew lead at $19 an hour. Frank values my attention to detail and my ability to accurately count every loaded box in the truck. In the homes of wealthy clients, I noticed the flawless organization of their important papers and legal documents. Their trash looks no different from anyone else's, but their record keeping is streamlined to perfection. I realized the difference between simple manual labor and the systematic management of financial assets. Every evening, I log every single expense into my ledger down to the exact cent. Financial discipline gradually begins to reshape my mindset and restore my lost confidence. I finally begin moving forward, leaving years of complete uncertainty and financial hardship behind. Level 6. What other people's stuff is worth. A client asks me to haul away all the unwanted junk from her late father's garage for a fee. I rent a box truck for $30, clean out the garage, and make extra money by reselling items. Selling a treadmill and scrap metal nets me $380 in clean profit for the day. It's easier for people to pay money to have junk removed than to deal with it themselves every day. I start offering junk removal services on weekends, bringing in new clients on my own. My accumulated savings allow me to purchase my own used box truck for $7,200 in cash. I part ways with Frank on great terms, remaining close friends with my former boss and crew. My first hired helper damages a client's wall, and I pay $900 out of pocket for repairs. I register my own LLC and purchase solid general liability insurance. I hire Jamal from my old crew, providing him with official employment and a steady paycheck. In its first year, my company grosses $91,000, netting $54,000 in profit. The job frequently takes me to self-storage facilities where people store their unclaimed belongings. I start bidding at storage unit auctions, buying abandoned units at bargain prices. In one unit, I find old family photo albums and leave them with the facility manager in case the owners return. I calculate the earnings of a 200-unit storage facility owner and am amazed by the high passive yield of the business. 200 units at $110 a month bring in over $260,000 a year. In this business, there are no headaches with difficult tenants, broken toilets, or middle-of-the-night calls. I begin deeply studying commercial real estate, capitalization rates, and seller terms. My financial notebook fills up with new calculations, investment spreadsheets, and ambitious acquisition plans. My goal becomes crystal clear: to acquire a self-storage facility in our local region. Level 7, 120 rusty doors. An old storage facility owner named Arthur is selling his 120-unit property due to his advanced age. Arthur lists the property for $415,000, but banks refuse to finance the deal. I offer Arthur seller financing with a down payment of $60,000 from my savings. Arthur agrees to the deal because he remembers how I always swept out the units clean after auctions. In 2 weeks, our crew completely clears out the neglected units and installs new cameras and lighting. We launch a solid website, raise rent prices, and hit a 90% occupancy rate across the facility. Under our active management, the property's annual income climbs to $118,000. A new independent appraiser values the updated storage facility at $1,100,000. I purchase a second 90-unit storage facility from a widow using traditional bank financing. Now, the bank officer speaks to me with immense respect thanks to my solid collateral. Inside one defaulted unit, I find a gaming PC alongside unopened collection letters from banks. Remembering my own past, I make it a rule to allow default debtors to work off their debt on my crew. My parents still think I just haul junk, but they're proud of my new commercial trucks. My father continues doing physical work at 66 because his pension isn't enough to live on. I hire my dad to repair the storage unit roll-up doors, paying him $30 an hour. He fixes the first set of doors quickly and continues working with my company for the next 9 years. On Christmas, I gift my father a 3-year-old Ford pickup, which he meticulously inspects before driving. My dad uses that reliable pickup every single day, keeping it in pristine mechanical condition. My family finally achieves long-awaited financial security through our joint hard work and persistence. We walked a tough road from complete financial ruin to building a genuinely successful family business. Level 8. The price of your own keys. 14 years after moving back home, I own a network of over 1,000 storage units. My junk removal business, now managed by Jamal, runs far more efficiently than it ever did under me. The total portfolio value of my real estate exceeds $8 million by current valuations. My net worth after paying off all bank loans stands at $5 million. A major national operator offers to buy out my business for $9,200,000. I politely declined the lucrative offer because this business holds a deeply personal meaning for me. I know what it feels like when your life's possessions depend on a stranger's whim, and I won't sell out. My body is conditioned to wake up at 5:40 a.m. without the need for any electronic alarm clock. Inside my fireproof safe lies my 11th financial notebook, containing a complete ledger of all expenses. An automatic transfer of $500 to a separate account still executes on the first of every month. At the third facility, I keep unit number 114, reserved for my childhood things. I dutifully pay $79 a month for my own unit out of my personal bank account. 2 years earlier, I bought the strip mall that houses Mr. Lee's 24-hour laundromat. I renewed the laundromat's lease for 10 years without raising the rent by a single cent. Mr. Lee passed away at a ripe old age, never knowing the identity of the building's new owner. Eric now owns 6 duplexes and still drives his old, reliable Toyota Corolla. I paid Eric back every cent of my old debt with interest, though he handed back the portion for the pizza. Every Sunday, we gather for a family dinner at my parents' modest apartment around the dining table. My mother gave me a key to their apartment, but I always make it a point to knock politely before entering. The ultimate goal of all these years was to become a man who makes his own choices and knocks before coming in. Level 9. The debt that never fades. On Saturdays, I sometimes work behind the front desk at our very first storage facility. A 24-year-old young man walks into the office, his hatchback loaded to the brim. He wants to rent a small 5 by 10 foot unit to store his personal belongings temporarily. His primary credit card gets declined, but his second card finally goes through for the payment. The guy laughs nervously and mentions moving back in with his parents for just 3 short months. I grant him his first month free under a special promotion that doesn't actually exist. The young man views free shelter as a lifesaver, completely unaware of the coming tests this soft comfort brings. Hot meals, fresh laundry, and an unlocked front door become a grueling trial for many young men. This comfortable trap ruins more ambitions than the harshest, coldest winter ever could. Somewhere on the other side of town, his mother is making his bed with fresh, clean linens. She genuinely believes it's only for 3 months, wanting nothing but the best for him. Nobody in that home senses the danger, because the trap operates completely silently. It is warm, cozy, and invisible, which is precisely what makes it so dangerous for the future. The guy repeats his 3-month timeline while holding the keys in his trembling hands. I nod silently in response, remembering my own identical words on the porch 14 years ago. Back then, I stood on my parents' porch holding a box of kitchen supplies and an old key. That old brass key turned easily in the lock, as if nothing alarming was taking place. A brass key always works smoothly, but that exact ease hides the greatest underlying threat. The real danger lies in quietly losing control over your own time and your financial future. What matters most is realizing responsibility early and taking action to achieve true personal independence. Level 10. A knock on a familiar door. The evening city sinks into darkness as I head back home after a long, productive workday. The financial ledger sitting on my desk reminds me of the long path traveled from poverty to success. A recurring monthly $500 transfer serves as a reminder of the discipline that saved my life. Every single building raised and every unit rented were forged through discipline and hard work. Jamal runs the moving business brilliantly, delivering top-tier service to every customer. Eric remains my best friend, and together we frequently look back on those tough early years. My father no longer stresses over money, as his future is completely secured by our family. Mom is overjoyed to see us all gathered around the Sunday table during our warm family dinners. My dad's old pickup sits parked outside the house, a symbol of our joint victory over circumstance. I glance at the brass key attached to my keychain and recall that very first day. Free housing could have destroyed my life had I not stopped my downward spiral in time. Today, I know the exact worth of every dollar, every minute, and every decision I make. Helping young men through difficult situations has become my new personal rule of life. Everyone deserves a fighting chance, but seizing it is something a person must do entirely on their own. The road to success is paved with hard labor, self-discipline, and walking away from unearned comfort. I step out of the office, lock the door, and get into my car under the evening sky. Life taught me a priceless lesson, one that I will carry with me until the end of my days. My parents' house will always feel like home, but my real home is wherever I stand. I walk up the porch, smile to myself, and knock on the door I've known since childhood. The door swings open, and I step inside as a man who built his own destiny.